Hi there! In this video we'll be covering the importance of preserving your family story. Your family story is full of tragedies and triumphs, ups and downs. And those stories mean a great deal to yourself and to future generations. It's so meaningful and important to document those stories before it's too late. By the end of this video, you will learn the importance of studying the past, the information that we now have available at our fingertips, and why a book is a great way to bring all of those messages and stories together. And stay tuned until the end of the video for an opportunity I really think you're going to enjoy. Let's dive in. Where do you come from? Where does your family come from? The answer to those questions really informs a lot about us too. It informs our journey, our path, what we think about ourselves, our ancestors, how we got here. It's so meaningful when we can study the relatives who came before us and understand the challenges they faced and how they got to where they did. And I think ultimately that those struggles inform the way that we see ourselves in the future. You know, it informs the way that we look at our lives. If you understand that your relatives were resilient during the tough times, it teaches you that you can be resilient too. When you understand that, you know, your relatives didn't always do the right thing, it kind of gives you a little bit of grace and clarity about, you know, the struggles that you've had in your life, that nothing's always perfect, that you can rise above it. I work as a book ghostwriter, so I actually work with people telling their family stories. And one of the families that I worked with has become very successful. And it's really interesting looking back and looking at, you know, we have the CEO of the company and we look at his father, and his father kind of grew up on the streets and really struggled in his life. You know, and over time he was able to create stability in his life and have a stable home life for his family that kind of set the table for this successful business person that he would help to raise, you know? And it's a reflection of the mother's side and the father's side, you know? So the father was living a really difficult upbringing, and the mother in this family, she came from a more affluent background, but she had, you know, opportunities that didn't present themselves to her because of her gender and because of the time in which she was raised. You know, so she had a lot of resentments and struggles that she faced as well. And all of these things got hard-coded into this next generation. And they were all very successful. They all did so many difficult and challenging and exciting things. You know, it's so interesting to look at how we're shaped by who came before us and the struggles they faced and the challenges they faced and the things they were able to overcome. When I'm working with families on book projects, one of the things that always comes up is, I wish this person was still here, that this relative who had all these stories had passed away, and those stories now get recreated by other people, but it's not exactly the same, that things are different now, and you know, you miss out on those stories. So it's so meaningful and important to document those stories when you still can. When people are still fresh, when their minds are still clear, you know, when they're telling stories the way that they normally would, you know, before, heaven forbid, they pass away or they start to have, you know, declines over time. You want to document these stories and preserve them, whether it's recording them, whether it's writing them down. You want to save them while you still can, because ultimately at a certain point it's going to become too late. It's become easier than ever before to research your family through ancestry.com, through newspapers.com. I remember when I was working on genealogy projects when I was in college like 20 years ago, and I needed to go to the library, I needed to look through microfiche, newspaper files. I needed to really dig deep. I needed to go through databases of relatives to see if I could piece together who this person's parent was and this person's parent. There's so many things that are now available at our fingertips through ancestry.com and newspapers.com. You can find census records, you can find war records, some of them, you can find residency records, yearbooks, so many different things, you know, birth and death, cemetery listings. Yeah, newspapers.com is so valuable because with a couple keystrokes, we can go back in time and we can look through newspaper after newspaper, location by location, year by year, you know, and see what comes up, you know, and see what was missed over time. It's so much easier now to research these files and to get some knowledge about what happened previously in a way that we could never have before. Before, you would have to go to the library and just kind of hope you find the right thing. Even real estate records and other legal documents, some of them are online, depending on where it was filed and depending on the location. There's just so much information at our fingertips today that wasn't before, and that allows us to fill in some gaps. When I think about working with the family on a project, we're able to go back in time generations, hundreds of years at times, 125, 150 years, even further sometimes, and really dig deep. It's really meaningful for me when I can work with the family and teach them about their relatives, things that they didn't know about their relatives. What about your dad's sister? There's more information about her online. Your grandmother's name. There's so many things that you can learn that I've been able to teach people about their relatives that otherwise they didn't know. And it's just so neat to be able to dig into that. Working with one person whose father and mother grew up in Cuba, and I've been finding these archival Cuban newspapers online, from the early to mid 1900s, and piecing these things together. It's just so neat to be able to investigate the past and dig deep on it. And I think it's so meaningful to be able to connect the dots and see what of the past reflects in ourselves and our current day. When you think about preserving your family story, there's so many different ways you can do that. Recording video or audio is obviously a great way to do it. But then what do you do with those files? What do you do with that information? Do you put it in Dropbox somewhere? Do you put it on a disk or a computer and just wait for it? I don't know. That's kind of the gap there in terms of, what you do with those files. It's great to be able to record video or audio. That does help. It's great to be able to preserve those things. But what happens to that next generation? Are they able to find those files and documents? Who knows? I think it's so much easier to be able to write a book and put all this information in a book. A book's an easy thing to hand to somebody. It's an easy thing to hold on to. And it's just an easier, simpler way to document these stories. And it's been so meaningful for me to work with families and help them bring their family stories forward in book form. There's something lasting and timeless about books. Even though we think about e-readers today and Kindle devices, books are timeless. And I know they take up shelf space, and I know they're frustrating. I have hundreds of them in my house, and at times I'm like, there's too many books here. I don't know what to do with all of them. At the same time, this family storybook, this is something that you want to hold on to and that you can easily pass down. You can easily give to the next generation and the next generation after that. It's neat to think that you could write something today that 100 years from now, your relatives are reading and learning from and thinking, I'm so glad this history got preserved before it was too late. You don't want to miss that chance. It's so special when you can preserve these things and preserve them in a way that is easily transferable for the future. If you want to learn more about the importance of preserving your family story, I'd love for you to check out my website. It's writeagoodbook.com. There you can learn some of my book writing tips, free insights. You can also book a strategy call with me so we can talk further about your project, and I can give you any tips or insights I can provide, and maybe we can even work together. Remember, a good book can change your life. I'm Dan Good. Thanks for watching.